Welcome, science fiction fans. I am author Derek William Dalton, and I'm here to answer some questions about SpaceBoots. I've had several people read advanced copies and have some questions. I thought I'd pass it all along with the answers to you. Our first question comes from Regina from Germany. Regina's first question: how did you come up with Leo and Hafnia? Here's my admission of guilt. I plagiarized. I had a fantastic science fiction dream one night. I woke up in the morning and I wrote it down. Then I filled in some plot holes, added some background. Took me about a year because theft of intellectual property is hard work, even when the mark is your own brain. Next question. Were they, Hafnia and Leo, more or less fully developed in your mind before you threw the story at them, or did they evolve while you wrote? If so, how did they change? So Hafnia is more scary as a kid than she was in the first draft, kind of like a more intelligent and subtle Calvin. She also became a better leader than I planned. She's more skilled at self-defense, which Leo found out. She also found where the limits of her emotions are. I felt bad for her writing those parts. Leo, between the first draft and the final book, got taller. He also became a soccer fan. The BMX bike fan and the science nerd part, though, that was him the whole time. Also, his kind heart. He was stuck with that since he was little. Before I knew him even. There are a few scenes that required him to face his fears, and Hafnia helped him with that. Were there real-life inspirations for any of the characters that you can share with us? Thank you for giving me an out. Salvio Innocente was an amalgam of my grandfather, my imagination, and also a really good friend of my grandfather's. He immigrated from Mexico. He worked like loco to get to the Estados Unidos and to pass the citizenship test. And then he sent for his family and brought them to the United States also. He was a really great strength to my grandfather when my grandma passed away. And then when Granddad was going through some terminal illness, this gentleman's family were there for him also. The next question is, pantser or plotter? So what Regina means is pantser, plotter, or plagiarist. Quick definitions, if anybody's not familiar with those terms. A pantser is an author who just writes by the seat of their pants. They have an idea, they sit down and they just write it, make it up as they go. Plotters sit down and note everything that's going to happen in advance all the way to the end of the book. Sometimes to the end of the series, like J.K. Rowling did. I did a little of all of it. I stole the idea from my brain, and then I plotted it out, and then I wrote it, and a few things that kind of struck my fancy as I wrote that I thought would be a good idea, I went with those. But if you're going to pin me down to a real answer, I would have to say plotter. And now for Regina's last question. Have you ever done some self-guinea pigging like Leo? If so, can you share why and how? And did someone have to come to your rescue? I can think of 3 times, not to the really cool extent that Leo did. The first one's not all that exciting, and it actually worked well. The second one was the best. Ever since I was a little kid, I thought the coolest thing would be when somebody gets an injury and they just stitch it up by themselves. What a tough guy thing to do, right? So I was mountain biking with my son. We swapped bikes. I forgot that he did not have pedal clips, and so I jumped and landed with one foot off the pedal, and it got me right in the shin and made a really nice long laceration. And my first thought was, I get to go home and stitch this up, which is really weird and maybe disturbing. But but that's okay. It made for a good day. It was fun. I stitched it up, took some pictures, grossed my daughter out. Not because she's a girl, it was just her personality. And number 3, guinea pig situation. I'm taking that one to the grave. No one will ever know. Which brings us to the end of Q&A session about SpaceBoots. Thank you all for watching. Pre-orders are available on Amazon. You can look this up on Goodreads for some reviews. Feel free to subscribe to my newsletter and get some weekly freebies and more information on upcoming projects. Until then, I'm Derek William Dalton, and happy adventuring.